till I stepped out on the other side. Everyone like from this podcast quiz. Stay strong, stay healthy, and know that you are loved. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay healthy, Stay strong, stay healthy, that you are loved.
When I was young, I thought of myself as healthy. Sure, I had a little extra fat, but other than that, I felt like my body was in top shape. When I was diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder at the age of 19, it was the first time I felt like my body had betrayed me. More specifically, my brain. That hit me especially hard because a lot of my identity was caught up in the fact that I was known as someone who was smart. Having bipolar disorder made me feel as if my intelligence was taken away. And it wasn't until I felt that I was as smart as I was before I developed bipolar disorder that I began to feel well. As I was living through the worst of times, battling bipolar disorder in my 20s, I remember thinking that I wished I would never have any other major illnesses. I couldn't think of how I would cope with something like bipolar disorder again. The doctors, the medications, the hospital stays. I even thought, how could God make me go through anything like having bipolar disorder again? It seemed a bit cruel to me, just thinking about it. Fast forward to August 2025, and I am diagnosed with both thyroid cancer and colon cancer simultaneously. 2 types of cancer growing in my body at the same time. For a second, I thought about how often that actually ever happened, but then I was off to the races. Surgery to remove the part of my colon with a tumor, chemotherapy, surgery to remove my thyroid, iodine treatments, scan after scan after scan. I guess I could say it was the year from hell, but it ended well. On the other side of my cancer diagnosis and treatment, I realized that my life was still intact. In fact, my relationships seemed to have gotten stronger. I still had my job, and I walked away from everything with good mental health. I kept taking my bipolar meds and talking to my psychiatrist. I remember one appointment after my thyroid surgery. I told my psychiatrist that I thought people were wondering why I hadn't fallen apart yet. He said, "Promise that won't happen." I said, "What?" He said, "You falling apart." I laughed, even though I knew he was serious. As the saying goes, God only gives us so much as we can bear. I've learned over my life so far that I can bear a lot, but even I have my limits. Both the thyroid and colon cancer were not in my lymph nodes or my bloodstream. That revelation even shocked the doctors. The scans for both my thyroid and colon cancers showed that the cancer was in my lymph nodes, but when they removed the lymph nodes during surgery and tested them, there was no cancer in my lymph nodes at all. So what did the scans show? I thought to myself, was it there and then not there? Or was it never there at all? Being cured of the cancer also got rid of a lot of my other physical ailments. The colds, viruses, the horrible cough, the bacterial infections. I think my immune system was working overtime battling the cancers, so there was nothing left to fight anything else. It used to seem like I would never quite recover from anything. I would only get healthy for a couple of weeks, and then some other illness would take over my body. Ever since I was a little girl, my parents believed I had a weak immune system. Even from a little girl, I caught everything. My mom would say, "If it's in the air, Natasha, will catch it. So it's just seemed to always been accepted as a fact that I get sick easily. So no one really thought very much of my never-ending string of physical ailments. It's funny thinking back on how no one thought anything was seriously wrong with me. I remember telling someone that I was having a really hard time. Things that used to seem easy for me were getting hard. I couldn't really concentrate, and I didn't feel well overall. Without skipping a beat, he said, "I feel that way sometimes too. Typically, all I need is an extra cup of coffee." I just gave up. The only thing that would really prove that there was anything wrong with me was a diagnosis. But part of me didn't want to find out what was wrong. Part of me wanted everything to run its course, and maybe I would die. I started to feel like maybe that was the outcome people deserved. It reminded me of when I was suicidal, living with bipolar disorder. I don't think people realize that oftentimes, when someone thinks of killing themselves, they might be very angry. When I thought of killing myself, I thought of it as a big FU to everyone who did and did not care about me. Wouldn't they feel like crap if I died? Sure, I'd be dead, but sometimes people can make you so mad that it feels like it might be worth it to die in order to make them feel bad about themselves. But ultimately, I wanted to live. So I went to the appointments and got the tests, and the doctors figured out what was wrong. In that way, the 2 cancer diagnoses were a win for me. It wasn't in my head. I wasn't faking what I was going through. I was very sick, and I needed help immediately. As soon as the cancer was identified, my world changed. Doctor's appointments, scans, treatments, rinse and repeat. And through it all, I was able to keep working. But most importantly, I was able to keep my health insurance. I didn't have any financial stress, which was the same as when I was going through my toughest times battling bipolar disorder. I can only imagine how stressful it must be to be sick and have to worry about how you're going to pay for everything. My financial stability was a true blessing. But I also have to give a shout out to my parents in that regard. It would have been practically impossible to pay for everything if I were living on my own. Because of my parents allowing me to live with them for a while, I was able to pay my portion of my medical bills. It was still a good sum of money, but with my parents' support, my life was a lot easier. I have to sit back and count my blessings, not just for how I got through this past year, but also when it comes to how I've gotten through my entire life so far. It's been tough to get over the mental and physical illnesses, but I'm looking forward to a period of calm. I'm already a lot stronger, and the terrain on the road ahead looks a lot less rocky. This is Black bipolar female Natasha Cobb saying, stay strong, stay healthy, and know that you are loved. Did you know you can support this show by downloading and becoming a member of the Alive Podcast Network app? You'll experience unlimited access to Black hosted content and we'll be able to keep bringing you amazing content week after week.